restoring hope and we're building systems that work. In my first year of being back in office, we've shown that democracy works and that change is possible when leadership is focused and accountable to the people. From a debt-distressed, crisis-ridden economy, we've achieved an impressive turnaround with a stable macroeconomy characterized by single-digit inflation, a strengthened currency, and increased business confidence. But here's what keeps me up at night. Ghana's success alone is not enough. However admirable Ghana's turnaround story is, we cannot be a jewel in the debt. We must work together as Africa. We must knit together the patchwork of success stories. And that is why we're here in Davos today. To take what's working across many countries in Africa and the global south and scale it up across other countries. To move from resetting one country to resetting the entire development model for the global south. And let me be direct about what we're up against.
What we just heard is a message of confidence. Ghana is saying its economy is stabilizing and that Africa must work together. But behind this optimism is a bigger question. What role did the IMF play, and what does it really mean to exit an IMF program? Let's now listen to the economic breakdown of what Ghana's IMF exit actually means.
Ghana's got a spring in its step, and rightly so. They've just overtaken Côte d'Ivoire to become West Africa's second best performing economy. But the rise wasn't luck, it was structure. So in 2023, Ghana entered a $3 billion IMF program. Inflation was wild, the city was falling, debt repayments were choking the budget. 2 years later, the numbers are shifting. Growth is steady, inflation's down. The city entered 2025 stronger for the first time in almost 2 decades. And now in 2026, President Mohammed says Ghana's ready to exit the IMF program and hopes that they will never return. And that is a bold promise because most countries don't exit clean and even fewer hold the gain. So what was the actual program? Okay, let me get into it. It was a $3 billion extended credit facility, 5.5-year grace period, no principal payment until 2029. Final repayments likely run through to 2036. It's low cost debt, but not free money. Exiting doesn't mean the loan's paid off, but it just ends the emergency oversight. The bills still come in, but that's why this moment matters, right? Ghana's stepping out of crisis mode and into self-reliance. They've restructured local debt. They're rolling out a 24-hour economy, betting on youth-led growth, and they're in good company, right? Because other African nations have actually exited IMF programs too, right? Malawi's program ended in 2025. Sadly, it didn't restore stability. They're now seeking a new one. But Nigeria went one step further. They left the program and actually repaid their entire IMF debt by 2025. These exits are rare, but if Ghana holds the line, this could be the start of something new. African nations shifting from bailouts to self-dependency. The hope now is that they don't just swap the IMF for another lender, because none of this matters if fiscal discipline doesn't follow. And while the numbers are improving, sadly, the public is still feeling the pain somewhat. IMF reform often hits the poorest first. Subsidy removers, cuts to social spend, layoffs. It's the time lag, right? And the reality is that pain doesn't wait for elections, but stability is a signal, not a solution. I keep saying it, right? The real players use that signal to build, buy and bet on future growth. If Ghana holds course, it won't just be a comeback, it will be a case study. But let's be honest, risks are real. External shocks, commodity dips, political turnover, 2029 repayments are coming, and global capitals watching to see if this run is sustainable or temporary. Ghana's story isn't finished, but for now, they put structure behind the slogan and the world's taking notes. Let's talk in the comment sections. And don't forget, if you want to support my content, then hit subscribe on my Patreon. Links in my bio.
True Gold Board. What have we done? We have decided to take over authority of our gold and make sure that we get the full benefit of our natural resources. So you see the enemy lurking. And who is our great nemesis here? The IMF. Let me tell you, as at 2021, Africa owes IMF 834 billion in debt. 2025 alone, the whole of Africa is paying IMF a debt of $71 billion. So do you think if we had our own banking system and we controlled our natural resources, would we be paying this huge sum to our foreigners? No, we will be spending this money in our own country and make our countries like a haven. The IMF does not seek the interest of individual African countries. Let me tell you what happened in 1980. The IMF and the World Bank introduced the Structural Adjustment Program for African nations. And do you know what they did? The IMF said that what? Countries should slash down spending and open their economies to foreign investors. When we did that, the repercussion that countries had was what? High unemployment rate, collapse of individual national companies. You understand? There's something, an adage that we say, that immediately you borrow something from a friend, you become a slave to the person. The IMF continuously wants Africans to be slaves to their imperialist instructions. And immediately any African country decided to exit that regime, they become angry. I'm not surprised they are coming up with extrapolations like this, that the gold board have made losses. And it's laughable because you can no longer deceive the average Ghanaian. Kwame Nkrumah in his first Independence Day speech said what? The black man is capable of managing its own affairs. And that Ghana will be an example to all nations beyond Africa. They have destabilized us, but now we have seen the light.
Don't you seem to not appreciate the IMF's effort to setting things right or making
I believe that we as a government, we accept criticisms,
right, but
we need constructive criticisms. IMF has been in the country for a whole 82 years. IMF has seen the cedi dip. IMF has seen our wealth being bulldozed away to other countries. We were in this country in 2021 when Al Jazeera released the Alistair Matthias gold smuggling documentary. The guy was smuggling $60 million worth of gold out of the country every year. I think it was every month. And Ghana was losing huge sums of money that we could use to do roads, could provide school buildings, could provide textbooks for our people, better hospital infrastructure. It was being smuggled out of the country. What did the IMF say about the MPP regime? Look, this gold brouhaha that the MPP is being happy about. Look, this issue is beyond NDC MPP argument. It is about the destiny of Ghana. And I was happy that Mahama stated in his New Year's message that what? There is no NDC Ghana, there is no MPP Ghana, there is no CPP Ghana. The only Ghana we have is the Ghana we are in. So we need to appreciate our positive wins. You understand? We have enemies lurking. And our enemies are the educated ones who have been bribed by these white people to play down on the achievement of black people. That is what we should make good use of and be alerted by. The MPP is going around making noise about this projection and even saying that it will be $300 million at the end of the year. Gold started rising late 2022. 2023, we saw appreciation in gold prices. 2024, we saw an appreciation in gold prices. How much profit did the MPP make? And how much did the MPP use those profits to show up our city so that there will be a bit respite for businessmen in this country? That is the question the MPP should be asking themselves. We shouldn't be sitting down and be lambasting people for the success they are making. We should appreciate our small gains. What we are saying is that these are projections by the IMF. The IMF has been an enemy to African nations for the past 82 years. they will never see anything good in
What we have seen today are three realities. One, a government celebrating recovery. Two, an economic system still fragile. And three, a deep frustration with decades of dependency. These are not contradictions. They are parts of the same African story. The IMF has helped stabilize some economies, but it has also left scars across the continent. Structural adjustment programs weakened local industries and increased hardship. At the same time, poor governance and corruption inside Africa also played a role. The real lesson here is not about choosing between IMF or no IMF. It is about building African systems that protect African wealth, support African businesses, and give African youth opportunity. If Ghana succeeds, it will not just be Ghana's victory, it will be a message to the entire continent that discipline, unity, and control of resources can change our future. This conversation should not divide Africans. It should unite us around one goal: economic dignity and self-reliance. Let's discuss this with respect, facts, and vision. Africa's future will not be decided by one country, one policy, or one institution. It will be shaped by informed citizens, honest leadership, and united voices. If you believe in an Africa that controls its resources, strengthens its economies, and builds opportunities for its people, then this conversation matters. Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. Let us learn from each other, not fight each other. Like this video so more people can join this discussion, and subscribe to Voice of Africa for balanced, fact-based stories about our continent. Together, through dialogue and understanding, we can build the Africa we all want to see.